Today is a really interesting thing. We're going to be talking about how to grow your mailing list with organic social media. Now, this is defined as social media you didn't pay for. All right. So that means no ads. And that means no ads. You're not paying for ads. This is your free stuff, the free stuff that you can do just because you're posting. This is the first idea. The first part of it is that the big idea is why this approach works, and then how organic social is going to work differently for fiction authors versus somebody else, another type of marketer or somebody trying to grow their mailing list with social media. Because I wanted to be very particular to who you are, because you're all fiction authors. So it doesn't matter what your genre is, you're still writing and selling fiction. There's five content types that will help build your list. And I'm going to share with you the opt-in that actually works for fiction authors. Then we're going to do how do we change or turn our followers into subscribers. It's a very simple system. If you try to make it complicated, it doesn't work so well. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end so that you can ask me questions. Okay? The big idea that I'm putting forward here is that the authors who build something real are using free, organic, not to sell the books, they're not using social media to sell books. Instead, they're trying to pull their readers or people into a relationship, and that relationship lives on their mailing list. These are the things that it's a kind of a mindset that you have to change so that you can actually use this efficiently and without paying for useless things that aren't going to help you. So no paid ads, no dancing on TikTok if that's not you. It's definitely not me. It's just repeatable, authentic strategies that work specifically for fiction authors. And today I'm going to talk about how to own your audience, which means put them as subscribers on your mailing list versus renting space on a social media platform like Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Threads or anywhere else. Now, the basic reason of why social media works differently for fiction authors than other people is that it's how you come into this. So, what I want you to do is reframe your thought process or your mindset. So, you're going to stop asking yourself, how am I selling my books on social media? Instead, you need to change your mind into, how do I make someone feel something? And then invite them somewhere private. Because instead of sell, you're going to start thinking about is, I want to make them feel special and I want them to come into my mailing list because my mailing list is somewhere private, it's somewhere special. And that shift in your mindset will change everything about the way that you post, the way that you answer, that you comment on other people's posts, and the way that you actually use social media. Now, why the social media for organic search works differently is that number one, you are the content. You don't have to manufacture it. You're not making something up. You're not dancing in the cold or wherever. It's all about you. And you're remembering that social media is borrowed land. The only thing that you actually own is your mailing list. And so you want to populate it. Remembering that social media is borrowed land, your mailing list is the only thing that you own. The other thing that you need to remember is that fiction readers are emotional buyers. They are not buying something. The reason that they're buying something is because they trust and know the author, or they trust and know whoever is referring them to that. So it's more emotionally based than it is on a cold, hard fact. And that's important to remember. And every post you have that you make, and when I say post, it's not just a fresh post, but it's also like a comment that you make on somebody else's post. It has a goal, and what you want to do is make the person reading it curious enough to want more, which means they want to learn more about you. and where that more is in your list. So you're not giving information away via the social media, but you're enticing them to come and join your mailing list. Now, here's the four places that most readers show up, fiction readers. So I'm only concentrating on fiction and popular fiction or commercial fiction, romance, mystery, suspense, young adult, women's fiction, that kind of fiction author or fiction reader. All right. So of course they live on Facebook and is strong, especially for the romance, thriller, and mystery readers that are 35 years old and older. Now, if you're going after the Instagram, it's a more visual, it's a moody kind of aesthetic where you're going to show your covers and your atmosphere kind of things. And that one, now the age range is changing on that because there seems to be that it's now skewing also younger, but it has a wide age range. So Instagram is not something that you should say it's only for 60 and plus. It's like it covers a whole gamut and age range. So you should consider it. TikTok slash book talk it's more for romantasy right now and fantasy, although there are an older generation that's out there on TikTok and looking and finding books, which is amazing if you think about it. Grandmas and stuff like that, grandpas. And Pinterest is good for series readers who like to build boards and who like to really get into it's a very visual kind of place. So that's just an overview of the different social media platforms that are out there. It's not like the gospel truth, but it gives you an idea of where maybe you fit in, you as a person would fit in better because you want to feel comfortable where you are using their social media. Because if you're not comfortable, it very obviously shows. Okay. So you want to be where you feel comfortable. Now, there are 5 content types that build your list. You don't need all of them, but you need one that you consistently do over and over again. And you're going to use this as repeatable content framework. And I say, start on Monday. Why not? You get the weekend off, but start on Monday and do this for 30 days, and you will actually see improvement. The first type of content, and I'm going to go over it in a little bit more detail, but the first kind of post is a behind the book post. The second one is a character or world immersion post. The third one is reader, this one's for you post. The fourth is a recommendation or a reaction post to something that somebody says. The recommendation would be you as a reader sharing with other people. It goes along with your authenticity. And the fifth one is a very transparent, what is it like as an author? So let's go into this. The first one is behind the book post. This is the kind of post where you're going to share your research, your playlists, your Pinterest boards, your real locations that maybe inspired a scene. What you're doing is the goal of this is to make the reader feel like an insider because that loyalty will drive list signups. So a quote that you could use is that I share this exclusively with my newsletter readers. The link is in bio. And why does this work? Because readers like to feel like they're an insider. That sense of access and exclusivity is what drives list signups. Okay, the second one that I was talking about is your character or world immersion post. This is where you're actually treating one of your characters as a real person. So you might share their opinion, the character's opinion, or the character's playlist if they're listening to some music that inspires them or puts them into the universe that you've created. Or even a coffee order. What would your character order at Starbucks? Or would they prefer to go to a very artisanal coffee shop? Or maybe they just drink tea. I know, for example, I always thought that Jane Ann Krentz's people only drank tea because she was really into that. And she really made a world that seemed like they disdained coffee, that they instead were very into the different kinds of tea and how you made tea and not just using hot water, but you had to steep it and all of that. And that made me, as a reader, connect with her writing, even though I'm not a tea drinker. I'm a coffee drinker. But it made her characters and her more alive and gave me feelings about it. And as a reader, that's what you want to do. An example you could use is bonus content. I'm teasing about this character are available in my emails, and the link is in bio. Now, we're going to go over because where you put the links is can be different for the different social media platforms because some of them you can put links in your post or your comment, and some of them you cannot. You just have to learn. Again, this is where you feel comfortable in which kind of social media. Now, why does it work? Because like I explained to you about with the Jane Eyre Krentz, is that readers are emotionally invested in your characters. Okay, just because you wrote them 10 years ago, as a reader discovers your character, they become emotionally invested in them, and I still do to this day. And so they want more. I always want more. So your list is where the more lives. It's not on the social media post. It's you're hiding it away in your private house, and your private house is that newsletter that you sent out. So the only way they can get the invitation to come to the party is if they join your newsletter. See how we're going here? We're inviting them into a private, special place. Okay, the third kind of post that you can do is reader, this one's for you post. This is where you talk to the reader's experience, where you tag an emotion, not the plot, because that emotional resonance gets shared, not just between you and one other reader, but also between the readers themselves back and forth. And that all helps bring in more subscribers to your newsletter. So, for example, you can put out there this join my list for early access and reader only extras. That does work if what you're providing is something that is of interest to a reader. And again, why does it work? Because remember, the emotional resonance is there, and you need to share it, and you need to make them feel. Feeling is really important. And it also helps get new subscribers directly into your door or directly onto your newsletter list. The fourth kind of post that you could do is a recommendation or a reaction to somebody else's reading. So this is where you talk about the books that you love. Now you are a reader, and so it's like reader to reader. It's like you recommending to another reader something that's not necessarily your book or your stories, but it's something that opens the curtain into how alike you are to them as a reader on a reader to reader basis. And this actually builds community, and it attracts followers to your taste. If they see, oh, I like that book and I must like her, because that's the way human nature works. So, for example, you could say, I curate a monthly reading list for subscribers. The link is in the bio. Or I share new books that I'm really interested, that I really find fascinating, and I think you would too. Link in the bio. This would be really good if you're doing newsletter swaps kind of thing where you're teasing somebody else's book, but you're doing it within your a post on social media. And but the only way you're sharing it is if they come and join your newsletter. And why does it work? It's because it's building a publicly seen community, and it attracts the authors, attracts the readers who share your audience taste, and they can be your future subscribers. It's just like human nature. It's the way book clubs and things work as well. The fifth kind of post that you can do is where you're showing behind the scene, where you're showing behind your job as the author. So it could be where you're posting word counts or revision struggles or a plot that goes wild or a character that goes wild and you have to pull them back in, or just weird research Googling that you did. You're afraid you're going to be put on somebody's watch list because of the questions you're asking Google or other search engines. Now, it doesn't have to be polished, it just has to be real because you're showing the human behind the book. And this kind of content will drive loyalty that is more than just good for one title. So it's if you want to show people want to know who you really are because then they feel like they have a relationship with you. And being able to see behind the scene, like if you have a messy desk, it shares, you have that commonality with your reader, and that's really important. And do remember that one of your superpowers is being authentic, and that means showing the part of you that's authentic that you want to share with people. You don't have to share everything, but you could share bits and pieces that makes a reader connect with you. Now, sometimes I see a lot of posts that just say sign up for my newsletter, and it's you didn't give me a reason. You didn't say why. There has to be a reason for them to give you their email address, which means they're signing up for your newsletter. Remember, readers need to feel something. They need a feeling. They need to know why they're doing it. So here are some of the things that you could actually use that readers want. They like free short stories or bonus scenes with characters that they already love. If you have a reader, another thing I like epilogues that were not the real epilogues, or I like little previews that would have been like a prologue that you didn't get to include. That tells me a little bit more about the story. This is really good for somebody who's already read this story or read the book. It's adding bonus material to it. If you have what really does work well, which a lot of readers always complain that they never do, but trust me, we do, is the first chapter of the next book. If you know when you've gotten a book and the next chapter, and then it just cuts off, and you're just waiting and waiting for that book to be published and released. You give it away free to via in social media. You can say, hey, here's a chapter of what's coming up, and only people who are subscribers to my mailing list will get it, or how you're going to do that. Again, a reader exclusive epilogue. This really works well if you put it in the back of. It works really well when you put it in the back cover copy of an ebook, because then they can click and go right to, usually you deliver it through BookFunnel or something like that. But it also works for people who maybe haven't read the book, or have read the book who forgot about it, or you've added this after the fact to it. So you put this out in social media that there's a reader exclusive epilogue for XYZ title, and you will get additional subscribers who read that and go, oh, I want to know what the epilogue is. Or let's say that you've written another epilogue. It works. Access to a private reader group or community does work. If they're going to sign up for your Facebook group, make sure that you are capturing their email address and that you're putting it on your mailing list. You should be able to do that. I know Facebook groups allows you to do that. It's just the way that you set up the group, where the first thing you do is ask them for an email address and you validate it, and then you can add it onto your mailing list. And I thought this was a great idea. It's a starter library. It's 2 or 3 short reads that introduce your world. And this could be from 3 different books, or it could be from the backgrounds of, especially if you have a series and the same characters run through the series. This is good for mystery authors and mystery writers who have mystery series out where this is the same protagonist through each one. If you give different scenes from that, and I know how well this works because JD Nora Roberts has been putting this out on social media over and over again of little snippets of scenes, and then they have a discussion. This is all on social media. And what it's doing to me as a reader of the JD Robb books is, and I've said this before many times in book club, is that I have to go back and reread the book. And that means if I can't find the book right away, I have to go buy the book again. Yeah, that's Sara. So remember that a 2,000 word bonus scene with your main characters can be more compelling than just you saying, get my newsletter. So remember, it's back to that mindset shift that you're doing. You're inviting them into some place private, and that place private you own, and that place private is your mailing list. So Instagram, for example, and Book Talk, I think, or not Book Talk, TikTok, are places where the only place you can put a link, not in a post, is in your bio. So you want to make sure that your bio, the link that's in there, and you can have up to three, but if you put in more than one, really, people aren't necessarily clicking on it or seeing it because it just usually shows one. You want to have a clear destination, and this is not necessarily a link tree with 12 options. Because what you do is if you have a link tree up there, instead of join my mailing list or get more bonus material here, they get lost in decisions. They go, wait a minute. It says I could follow them on Facebook. I'm on this link tree is it's taking me all over the place. So you want to have link tree. I don't agree with that. You don't want to have link tree in your bio, but make it number three. So that they actually have to expand the bio to get to that link. You want the first thing that they do is to go immediately and join your mailing list. So it's got to be a compelling sentence, and the link where you're taking them to, it does one thing, and that is collect their email address onto your mailing list. And make sure that you state this plainly. Get a free bonus scene. Click. Here's where you click. Okay. That is the CTA. That is the call to action. You're telling them to do exactly what you want them to do. And this will work on any platform. So even though you can, like in Facebook, put and LinkedIn, for example, you can put a link in a post. If you also have it in your bio as well, in the profile at the top, that's good. It doesn't hurt. It's not overkill. You should have it there as well. You want to make it as easy as possible, as no friction. Okay. You want to make it easy. And they have one thing to do when they click. And here's some platform specific tips on how to coordinate your bio, the link in your bio, and a post, right? So in Instagram, you could have the bio link, but then you should also have a pinned story or highlight. So you would have it's up at the top, and you should know how to pin one of your posts in Instagram. If not, we can talk about it later. It's really easy to do. It's just one of your options, and it's either a reel, it can be a reel, a post. For story, you're going to take it and save it into highlights, but it's easy to do. And it's the first thing they see at the top of the when they go to your profile. In Facebook, you want to pin a story or this little tease that you're doing to the top of your page or the top of your group. You can pin in both of those. And you should also have it in your bio, but which is your profile or which is about you information. But that pinning of the post is really important. In TikTok, you can have a bio link to with the T's in there, but you also need to say it out loud in your video. So every video you do, you want to that where the call to action should be is to join your mailing list, give them the link, right? And say it. And in Pinterest, you can also again pin on your opt-in landing page. You can pin this to all of your boards. Now, there's two ways, there's the two things that you need to do, the two steps that you need to do to turn a follower on your social media into a subscriber. The first thing is that you're creating content that genuinely generates engagement, and that could be comments, saves, or shares. And then the second step to this is that every piece of content that you've created, you include a soft CTA. CTA is call to action that moves people towards your list. So here's some examples. My readers got this story 3 weeks early. Join them here. That is the call to action. And that's it's instead of saying join my newsletter. You get it here, and then the link is to your landing page for joining your mailing list. Or another comment you can make is, I only shared this with my email list. Link is in bio. This is really good for if you start to do a tease on an Instagram post or an Instagram reel, if you're talking about it, then the link for that, or even a reel that's on Facebook, then that would be like in the first comment that you make, you put, here's the link to join or to read more. Okay, because you remember you can comment in Facebook. You could put a link in a comment in Facebook, which is really good. And I think that they're changing that in Instagram where you can have links in your comments. I don't know if everybody has that or not. I know I've seen it on some of my comments where I could click. I was like, oh, new, that's new. And here's another example is the real behind the scenes is in my weekly new emails, come hang out. You're not really saying join my mailing list, but you're giving them a reason to join your mailing list, and the link is to join your mailing list. So remember that if there's one platform that works better for you, stick to it. Do it, just do it over and over again. You go deep before you expand to other platforms. Also remember, your consistency is better than doing it frequently. So you need to post enough so that the new discoverers will see you versus you did it for a week and then you got busy in life and you just stopped doing it because it needs to have consistency over and over again so that the platform, its algorithms will pick up showing you to new people. And remember always, there's the only metric that you want to follow is that the link went to your opt-in page, and your opt-in page is your joining your mailing list. So it's a landing page that the only thing on that landing page is joining your mailing list, or it's actually just giving the email and you're putting it manually behind the scene onto your mailing list. There's different for different people. So if you want to try it for 30 days, and remember everything you do for 30 days kind of can become a habit, and habits are good because then that makes you consistent. The first week, what you're going to do is you're going to check out your bio on every platform that you have an account on. And you're going to check to see, does it mention your list and an opt-in offer? And if it doesn't, fix it. That's all you have to do for the first week, which is auditing. Okay, your second week, you're going to create something. So you want to publish one piece of content of each of the 5 types, and you'll do one per day. And you don't have to be perfect at this, but what you're trying to do here is create your baseline. You want to see which type of content that you create resonates with readers. Okay, so that's the reason you're like actually building up your base so that you can see where should I put my energy versus what is not working for me. Remember, each of you are individuals and each individual has different kinds of followers. So you want to hone into what makes me special. Okay. Your third week is engagement. So now you're going to comment on other people's posts, but within your genre. You want to be present and you want to be visible. And you want to start to use some of the things that we've talked about, that maybe the 5 different post types can also be the comment types. And then in week 4, you actually look back at it. You see, which ones got me? And one click works, guys. One click. You're going to start out slow. It's not like you're going to get 50 the first week or the first month. You're not going to. But what you're going to see is very small incremental changes. And the ones that, so let's say that you did 5 different posts and you got 5 new subscribers. You got 3 subscribers on one post, 1 subscriber on behind the scenes and none on the other 2. So you go, okay, I need to concentrate on those first 2 kinds of posts because that seems to get me more people. If you can look at your numbers, and your numbers can be very small, but don't be discouraged by them. Even a little incremental change will pay off in the long run once you know what is really working for you. You should be doing this once a day. If that's too much, 3 times a week is fine. If even that's too much, try just once a week. But you need to do this for 60 or 90 days consistently, like every week, so that you can see where you need to put your energy. And this will go faster as you get more people following you on the different social media platforms or actually engaging with you. Because what this is the algorithms, when they see somebody's replying or clicking on something that you've provided, the social media algorithm is going to start to show your post or your comments to more people. And notice too on Facebook, where you don't get to see everybody's comment anymore, you just see the most relevant or the latest or whatever. Remember, the social media platforms, they own the thing. You don't have control over this. You just have to play by their rules. So I just want to have you remember that what you're posting is an invitation versus a sell thing. So you're inviting people to come in to your private space. You're inviting them to come into your party, and the mailing list is your party. So every reader who follows you on social media is a stranger. Think of them as strangers. They're outside the door. But every reader who's on your mailing list is a guest at your home, is somebody who's a guest at your party, the party that you're throwing. So if you think of organic social media as just the way to introduce yourself as the hostess or host at the door. So remember, you already have everything that it takes to do it. You have a voice, you have a world, and you've written a story, and it resonates to somebody, and you just want to get a bunch more somebodies. And you're using the free tools that is social media to invite more people into your world. Here's some examples is if you write in three different genres, ideally you want to have separate lists, separate posts that are out there because not necessarily the same person is going to be, if you write romance and you write parent and you write mysteries, you might have a mystery reader who doesn't read romance, etc. So you might behind the scenes have different lists, or behind the scenes you have one list with different segments on it. And so you would segment the landing page that they do, how they sign up to your mailing list, you would segment based upon what you said, what your post was. If you're like, I cannot do 5 or 4 or 3 or 2 different platforms, I can only do Facebook, then go with Facebook. Become very good at Facebook and learn all about it, and you're going to be fine. If you're not good at captions, it really doesn't matter. Perfection is not where people engage with. They want to engage with somebody that's authentic and showing you and your voice. That makes you a winner there. So you don't have to worry about, is the grammar all right? Are my commas in the right place? Or how am I sounding like this? You want to be authentic. And here's a quick reference, and I will provide these slides if people want them, is that here's some the CTA call to action language you would use for each of the different of the 5 content types that I've given you. For behind the book, you would say, I share this exclusively with my newsletter readers, link in bio. This is good for Instagram. Character immersion is bonus content and deleted scenes in my emails, link in bio. Or if you're doing this in Facebook, you could say link in the first comment. Okay. The trick with Facebook right now is that if you put a link in the post, they won't show it to as many people than if you make the post and then put the link in the first comment. That's how it works. So here's just a little Facebook tip. The reader feeling, the kind of thing is join my list for early access or reader only extras. A recommendation, this is where your reader to reader kind of point of view is that I send my monthly reading tips to my subscribers. Come join us. See, it's the come join us is come on in. We're having a party and you want to be part of it. I do like the author life one of my newsletter is an unfiltered version. If you want the unfiltered version, then the link is in the bio or the link is in the first comment or join me here. And this is just gotta tell you this, gotta pay for the bills, is if you do need help with this more on top of this, you can either sign up for a free call with me, Sara at Fresh Fiction, or check out our services. We do have a great team behind that can help you even down to the point of writing your captions and making the graphics for you, as well as doing your mailing lists.